like keep an eye on the other player to gain more experience. I did really well, and after I finished that season, I had 3 offers from 3 different clubs. 3 of them were from the Premier League and 2 from the first division, but I chose the Amr Serry because these ones were ready like was starting through the Premier League, and they wanted to do something in the Premier League. They weren't just one of the normal teams that just want to stay in the Premier League. They wanted to finish in a higher level, a higher grade. That's why we finished 5th the first year. We could have played in Africa, but we did a really good year there.
Yeah, okay. And what is your opinion about the private academies, football academies that are opening in Egypt nowadays?
I have seen a lot of private academies here in Egypt, and it's a good idea, but I would say it's very important to get really good coaches to make the young child love the game and to make sure that they are teaching the right stuff. So I think accreditation is good. If the academy is really well, accreditation is more important as well. But it's a very good step to introduce these academies here in Egypt.
Okay, but can a talented junior player continue in one of those academies till the end, or must he move to one of the famous clubs?
No, I think the talent that the academy only can just show the talent in the kid, but to really reach a higher professional level, you have to join a team. Because the academy puts the basic stuff, the skills, the talents and stuff, but the tactics, the fitness, all that, the stamina, the agility, this stuff can be put by a serious competition, which is only through like a higher level of competition through the teams. Okay.
Moving from the junior level to the senior in Al Ahly club was another difficult step. How did that affect you?
It affected me most because when you are a junior player in Ahly, the people, like the crowd, they don't know you as well as they know the other players. They are used to the famous players because that's what they've been seeing. So you don't have a chance to make mistakes. There's no any space for mistakes. They can judge you from the first touch of the ball. And this is hard because you don't have a serious chance to be judged. You have to play like 3, 4, 5 games to be judged by the crowd. But people in Ahly, because it's the most famous club in Egypt, and they're always used to win, and they have to win the competition. So people were always trying to judge from the first touch. There's no space for errors. So it was hard to find yourself, just like on a higher level. You're coming from a junior level to a higher level without making any mistakes, any steps. It's a bit intimidating in the beginning because you have to find yourself able to compete with the other players, which has been there for a while already. These ones have been famous, they found their own people, there are a lot of supporters for them, but you are new. So people usually feel the thing that they don't know. They like to find the people that they already know from before. They can trust him more than someone that they don't know. So it was a good challenge for me to start to step up through the first grade in Ahly. And it was a good experience because you get to learn from a lot of the players that has been like the famous player in Egypt sometimes. So it was a good experience, but then after that I started to move. It was a time that I can move to other clubs because I couldn't find a space because, you know, the Ahli club is one of the best club in Egypt. Everyone competes to get in. But I found myself, I wanted to play more because I wasn't playing standing in Ahli, so I wanted to play more as a standing player in different teams. So I found it more comfortable to me to move up to another club or another team.
How did you decide at some point that football will not be your ultimate goal or career in your life?
I have been thinking through that since I started playing soccer because I've seen a lot of people suffering injuries and serious injuries, and their careers suddenly ended without any warning. So my father used to tell me that your studies are the most important and then you can play soccer. So I finished my university, which is I finished pharmacy university in Cairo Uni. Then I was playing soccer because I loved it. But I knew at one time, which is I have to be prepared to, that I have to leave that career and start to focus on something that would be more rewarding for me in the future, because whatever soccer you love, there's a time that it will end, even by injury or by when you are not ready to play anymore, or when you just, you know, can't find your luck. There's a lot of options that control that. So I wanted to make myself ready. So when I started moving out of Egypt, that was like after I played with Jasco. I played first with Intag Al Harbi, then after that with Jasco, then after that I started to move up to Australia, where I found that it's more rewarding to my career, my pharmacy career, but in the same time I had some coaching sessions. So I'm now coaching some juniors, as well as I'm playing in one of the competitions, not the highest competitions over there, but it's still a very good play. It's the same like the first division here in Egypt. Very competitive, and the players are really strong and they have very good stamina and power, higher than the ones in Egypt here.
Okay, and when you traveled to Australia, were you planning to continue football there, or was it just by coincidence?
Soccer in my heart. I can't leave soccer. Even if I stop playing professionally, let's say on a higher level here in Egypt, I cannot stop. So it's something it's a passion that you have in your life. You have to continue. So even if it's not your serious work, you have to do something where you find your passion, to feel your passion through it. Soccer is something that you can't give up. I have to coach or play or give my advice to other players, because the soccer over there is more tactical. They don't have the skill that we have here in Egypt. Here the players are very skillful. What we lack most is the tactics or the techniques of the player. Our players are very good, but when they play on higher level, sometimes they fail to compete with the players from, let's say, England or Germany or Italy, because these players are more consistent. They have been training professionally since they are young. They have been treated professionally since they are young. They've been feeded well. They have been training well with the highest level of training. These people are really ready to be in the World Cup. But we are very talented, but we're lacking some steps that we need to improve in Egypt before we start looking to go to World Cup and, you know, finding our place through the world. So that's where I ran in Australia. Australia, they are not a very high very high soccer, like, you know, reaching company in the world, like in the world rankings. But still, they are very good when it comes to sports. They encourage sports. They encourage the tactics and the technique of the player. The players are always in good stamina and health. The players are really strong. It's like the English player. You can find English player. They can run 14 Ks or 16 Ks in every game. In Egypt here, the average will be about 8 to 10 maximum. So this is the difference between our players and the players all over the world. And when you travel to different places, you can see different players. I traveled to Germany, I traveled to Switzerland, to Austria. I've seen a lot of players, the professional players, how they play, how they are being treated by the clubs, and how they give back that treatment back to the clubs, how they play in the competition, what they are supposed to be delivering to the club. And I learned that in Egypt we have very good players. We have some drawbacks. We need to work on that if we want to reach the higher rankings in Africa and also through the world countries.
Winning is not a sometime thing. It's an all-the-time thing. You don't win once in a while. You don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit. Every time a football player goes to ply his trade, he's got to play from the ground up, from the soles of his feet right up to his head. Every inch of him has to play. Some play with their heads. You've got to be smart to be number importantly, you've got to play with your heart, with every fiber of your body. If you're lucky enough to find a man with a lot of head and a lot of heart, he's never going to come off the field second. I firmly believe that any man's finest hour, the greatest fulfillment of all that he holds dear, is that moment when he has worked his heart out in a good cause and lies exhausted on the field of battle, victorious.
I think that revolution affected everything in the country here, including soccer as well, because soccer, as one of the most loved games by everyone here in the country, after the tragedy happened in the game of Ahli and Masri, everyone has to think twice before he attends a game in the stadium, or we all of us have been sad to the people that has been killed in that tragedy accident, but now all the clubs as well, the players have been affected, even like emotionally and psychologically. The players, I thought that some of the players considered quitting soccer for long, like one of the most famous, I think about Treyka and Barakat did as well. And I have seen the soccer in Egypt after the revolution has been sloping down because the competition is not as serious as it was before. The support from the crowd, the support from the media is not as good as it was before. So I think and I hope that everything will settle down soon and we start having our soccer back here in Egypt again on the highest level that we are used to, so that we compete through the African Cup of Nations again, and we can hopefully we can reach the World Cup this time.
Well, that wraps up our episode for today. We hope you've enjoyed it. Until we meet you again next week, have a nice time.